believe we do have a quorum,
And we just started recording as well.
and we can do a roll call.
Thank you.
Chair Yabes, would you like me to do a roll call for the to open the meeting?
Yes, please. Let's see.
If I call your name, please please answer by here. Carolyn Ballard.
Here.
David Calloway.
Here. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Vice Chair Dudley.
Here.
Joan Freeman.
Here.
Wendy Miller.
Here.
Kristen Taylor.
Yeah.
Kristen
She's
Taylor.
not in the list.
Okay. Nathan Williams.
Not in the list either.
We have Chair Yabes.
Here.
We do have quorum. I'm not sure if you want to wait a couple of minutes.
Kristen Taylor is
Kristen.
just joining.
Okay.
Uh-oh. What did I do?
Good morning, Kristen.
Morning, Kristen.
Hi, Kristen. Are you here? Good morning, Kristen. We're just taking a roll call for the second day of the meeting.
She seems to not have audio microphone connection.
Okay.
She might be trying to connect to her phone or something like that.
Do we have Nathan Williams?
Still not Nathan.
Okay.
Should we start, Didi?
Yeah, I believe
We do have a quorum, right?
we do have a quorum.
Now, procedural question. For those that aren't here yet, how they won't be allowed to score the interviews for those they miss, right?
I believe Kristen Taylor.
It's here.
Okay, thank you.
Oh,
There she
you go.
is.
Yes.
Are we good then?
We are just missing Nathan Williams. He may can't come on during the interview, but we are a continuation of yesterday's meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
So are the interviewees here yet?
Our first interview isn't until 9:20.
Okay. Well, thank you for committee members for coming back for day 2 of interviews. Are there any comments on the interviews we have already heard?
No comments, but did Hezekiah get everybody's scores from yesterday?
Yes, I did.
Perfect.
You know, there are good things about these remote meetings, but it's hard to gauge people's reactions to questions when you post them. I do miss you all. But hopefully we'll see each other sooner than later. Any other comments, or are we good? If not. Today we will be hearing requests that include operating and increase of an ARP project. The interviews are worth up to 15 points. Didi, can you review the list of agencies presenting today?
Thank you, Chair and members of the committee. For today, we did have two new applicants. One we interviewed yesterday with, which is Justice Center, and today we have the second one, which is Pearl Transit. We have on our schedule for interviewing Northwest Valley Connect, Northwest Valley Connect with a CRISA PM and operating project, Yabes with operating, Pearl Transit with operating, City of Phoenix with operating, Foothills Carrying Corps with preventive maintenance and operating. Then we'll have a break. And then later in the morning, we have Treasure House with CRISA, Civitan, CRISA also, and Valley Metro with operating. Then we will break for lunch and come back and deliberate on development of the priority listing.
So as a reminder, Valley Metro, I'm not allowed to vote or to listen to the interview on the East Valley request. So Matt, you will be taking over.
Okay, no, that works for me.
Okay, thank you for that, Chair Yabes.
And I have a conflict with City of Phoenix, so I do not score or will not be commenting on that one either.
Okay.
Wendy, you are so fair that I won't mind you voting on this either. If you want to, I would appreciate it, but since you can't, apologies. On the west side, I don't know. There's Valley Metro also requesting for the west side. I don't know who needs to be excused as well. You know who you are, so when that time comes, please make sure you're not participating. Thank you. I think we're good, and we'll be back at 9:20. For those who want coffee, it's time to go and get some coffee. Is that correct?
That is correct. And just a reminder, during lunch break, if you can forward your interview points to Ezekias, so we can add all of those to the consolidated ranking. That would be great. And then just to remind you, there are a total of 8 agencies being interviewed today at 15 minutes each.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm gonna go get my coffee now. Thank you.
We can break. If you can come back around 9:18, that would be great.
Thank you.
Hi, Nathan. We are on a break and we'll be back at 9:18 for the first interview at 9:20.
Okay, perfect, man. Didn't had to get a hold. I could have emailed you, but my doctor appointment ran a little long, so just got into the office. Okay.
All right. At least we
Okay.
got that buffered zone in there.
Yeah, I can remember like seeing the thing, the calendar you sent yesterday, and it was like call in at 9 and then break. So I was like, well, let me just wait to get to the office and phone in. So worked
All
out.
right. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, I'll see you at 9:18.
All right.
That break went really fast. I was just saying that break went really fast.
It did. And Nathan Williams has joined us.
That's great.
It's 9:20 whenever you want.
Chair Yabes, I believe we have everybody. We have everybody back online.
I was talking to myself then. Yeah. Are the interviewees here already?
Yes,
The first one is
Northwest Valley Connect.
everybody here? Are we ready?
We do have Nathan and Kristen on the line. I
Let's
saw
do
that.
it.
And again, Northwest Valley Connect has a CRISA PM and operating request.
All right. I have a person that I'm not sure it's with them. Let me just confirm that with this person. And then we can
If
move on.
it's Trudy Ware, then it's Northwest Valley Connect.
Yeah, there was Trudy and there was someone else, but I just confirmed that that person is with YMCA actually. So we'll move on with Kathryn and Trudy. Hello, Kathryn and Trudy. Can you hear us?
There, I'm unmuted now. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right. Kathryn. Is Trudy on line too?
What?
Oh yeah, there you are. Sorry, my apologies.
How come I'm so big?
It's okay. Thank you for coming. Welcome and thank you for your time here today. My name is Robert Yabes, Chair of the MAG-EPDT Ad Hoc Committee. I would like to go over a few things before we begin. To keep track of time, staff will indicate the time remaining at the 5 and 1 minute mark. The interview is also being recorded. For your presentation, please provide an introduction, include names and titles of all those presenting, a very brief overview of your agency, describe your project and the need. The rest of the time will be for questions from the committee. Please begin.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. My name is Kathryn Chandler, and I'm the Executive Director, and with me is Trudy Ware. She's the Grants and Contracts Administrator for Northwest Valley Connect. Northwest Valley Connect has been operating as a nonprofit to address transportation gaps in service in the Northwest Valley, the West Valley, since 2014. We operate a small call center where volunteers help seniors, people with disabilities, and veterans find a solution to their transportation needs. If there are no other solutions, then we have the caller fill out an enrollment form, book a ride with us. Our dispatcher uses a routing software to create routes for our volunteer drivers. We get referrals from Valley Metro, Peoria, Surprise, Area Agency on Aging, and medical facilities in the area, and more. Sun City is where the buses stop. There are 200,000 people west of Sun City that don't have any bus transportation service. We provide a door-through-door service that gives our seniors a high level of service that they need. 2020 brought us some financial challenges due to the loss of our large fundraiser event and contracts that were either canceled or put on hold. Many of our volunteers are in the demographic that needed to be careful to not come in contact with the virus. So many of our volunteers chose to stop working at that time also. Ridership was reduced to about 40%, but we continued to operate, bringing people who needed dialysis and cancer treatments to their medical appointments, and made sure that people were getting the food that they needed. NVC continued to transport people for medical appointments, and then provided virtual options for other volunteers that could work to answer phones and provide other services from home, such as well-check calls to our clients that were isolated at home. We prioritize vaccine trips. Since vaccines have rolled out, more of our volunteers are coming back. More of our riders are coming back. Rides have been increasing. We're seeing more folks who need accessible trips, the accessible vehicles. So we have been consistently borrowing a vehicle from Benavia since their program was closed. Our grant requests include preventative maintenance for oil changes, brakes, tire replacements, general repairs. For 80% is $7,330. Maybe I have that backwards. The total is $7,330. 80% is $5,864. An alternative grant for volunteer driver coordinator, part-time salary, training materials, vehicle signage, volunteer rack cards, and more. The total grant is $18,670. Our 50%, or the 50% that would be federal, is $9,335. And the CRISA grant, which is a new, really nice grant this year. We applied for dispatcher and driver salaries and fuel and PPE for that grant. I'm ready for questions.
Chair, good morning, Kathy. This is Wendy Miller. I just wanted to let you know that when the application was published, we just had CRISA funds available. And since then, the American Rescue Plan was enacted, and there are additional funds made available through this program. And there's $595,000, I think it's the same amount that was available for CRISA, is also available through the ARP program. And we intend to allocate those funds through this process, and just wanted to let you know.
Thank you. Awesome.
Hey, Kathryn, this is Matt Dudley over in the city of Glendale. Good to
Matt.
see you. Hey, could you just maybe give the committee maybe a little bit of background on the impact to Northwest Valley Connect if you weren't able to get these funds?
So the year was rough for us in a lot of different ways, and I kind of outlined some of that. The impact that we have had on the Northwest, the West Valley, is that we've provided 17,000 rides in 2019. I am sure we're going to surpass that in the next year and a half. My estimate is in a year and a half, we will surpass that amount. The need is really there, and the programs that are in the Northwest Valley don't, the extra level of service that we provide for the seniors and the people in the retirement communities, especially in the Northwest Valley, are impacted greatly on this. The Valley Metro program was reduced back in 2019. Reduced in the manner of it wasn't offered to anybody 65 and older anymore. it was offered only to ADA certified clients, so people with disabilities. So that left a lot of people that don't drive out, even though they didn't have a disability. The impact means that if we don't have money for fuel, if we don't have money to pay our staff and our paid drivers, we're going to be doing less trips, even though there is more need.
Okay. When it comes to your volunteer driver program, we've heard through just the last day or so how difficult it is to try to get drivers to come back. Do you see that being a problem with your guys' volunteer driver program, or how are you guys trying to bring them back into the fold to start up the program again?
The volunteer recruitment is our first priority right now. It's something that we have our operations committee and our volunteer committee from the board working on, even, and our marketing team. We're working to get those volunteers back. I'm really not sure what's going to happen with that. It's kind of the way it feels to them, whether they feel safe. The whole pandemic culture feel is not going to just go away real quick just because there's vaccines. Although it's helping, I don't think everybody's just going to come back. There are people that are afraid to come back. We're going to continue to work on that. The volunteer coordinator is the key position to really do that recruiting and focus on those people so that they are comfortable coming back and they feel safe.
So it sounds like you guys are going to maybe update like your training to kind of take that into consideration about COVID and coming back from COVID and the steps that are needed.
We do have some procedures in place. We do have new procedures and new training in place now, as a matter of fact.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to interject one more thing, because the pandemic has been such an isolating factor for so many people and businesses. And I'm sure that, Valley Metro and everybody else have experienced the impact of that isolation. However, one of the things that Kathy alluded to was the fact that our board committee, different committees are working with other organizations in partnership, because many of those organizations have volunteer programs. So when people start coming back into the work environment again, those volunteer programs will be readily available and aggressive for the organizations, and we are tapping that resource in partnership.
Okay, thanks, Judy.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions from the committee? Hearing none. Thank you for coming. This concludes the interview and your presentation. We appreciate you talking to us, and thank you again.
Thank you.
Chair Yabes and members of the committee. Our next agency is Yabes from Ahwatukee. Their request is operating. We are 2 minutes before their time.
I do have 3 people from Yabes in the line already.
Let's do it.
All right, let me bring them in. Hello, Steve, Sandra, and Beth.
Hello.
Are we all here?
Good morning.
Good morning. Are the people participating in the interview here for you guys? Yes, you are, huh? Thank you. Welcome and thank you for your time here today. My name is Robert Yabes. Chair of the MAG EPDT Ad Hoc Committee. I would like to go over a few things before we begin. To keep track of time, staff will indicate the time remaining at the 5 and 1 minute mark. This interview is being recorded. For your presentation, please provide an introduction, include names and titles of all those presenting, a very brief overview of your agency, describe your project request and the need. The remainder of the time will be for questions from the committee. Please proceed.
Well, good morning. Hello, committee members, and thank you for your time today. On the call presenting for Valley of the Sun YMCA is myself, Simon Hill, Program Director of the Y Opus program at the Ahwatukee Foothills Family YMCA, Steve Conrad, Grant Writer for all Valley of the Sun YMCA programs. We have Sandra Franks, Executive Director of the Ahwatukee Foothills Family YMCA, and Beth Haugen, Executive Director of Development Operations for Valley of the Sun YMCA. The Valley of the Sun YMCA, VOS YMCA, is a 501c3 nonprofit community benefit organization established in 1892. As one of the oldest and largest providers of human services in the state of Arizona, VOS YMCA enhances the lives of more than 200,000 individuals each year through programs focusing on youth development, healthy living, and social responsibility. The Y is an inclusive organization, and guided by our mission, we reach out to our neighbors most in need, and $1.8 million in financial aid was awarded in 2020, allowing thousands of individuals to access health and wellness programs regardless of income. Our programs provide essential support to our many community members who not only face financial struggles, but other struggles such as rising obesity and diabetes rates, social disengagement, and lack of quality out of school time activities. Throughout the pandemic, we also continue to offer our Y Opus program for seniors to provide wellness check-in calls, transportation and doctor appointments, grocery shopping trips, and in February, we established a partnership with Uber to provide rides to vaccine appointments for seniors to remove transportation as a barrier to receiving the COVID-19 vaccine. As of today, we have provided nearly 1,000 trips to and from vaccine appointments for Maricopa County seniors through volunteers and Uber drivers. Now, the mission of Y Opus is to help seniors maintain their independence, and our goal is to help seniors live healthier, happier lives. We provide support services, including transportation for medical appointments, shopping and errands, household help, friendly visiting, phone calls, and multiple social opportunities each month to prevent isolation and loneliness. Many of our clients have lost the ability to drive due to frailties caused by aging or other issues. The average age of our client is 80.8 years old, with 60% of our clients being over 80 years old. Our services help prevent illness, isolation, and loneliness by keeping our seniors connected to the community. Despite the pandemic, we continue to serve seniors in our community with transportation needs and grocery shopping. In 2020, we completed 1,513 appointments, accrued 30,898 volunteer miles, and logged 3,687 volunteer hours, providing essential transportation for Ahwatukee seniors. Escorted transportation is a major need for these seniors. Our services enable them to which may affect their health. With many of our seniors living on fixed incomes, using taxi cabs, Uber, or other pay-for-ride services is not possible. Access to public transportation is limited and not often convenient or conducive to our clients' needs. Many of our seniors live alone and are in danger of becoming isolated in their homes. Y Opus is committed to helping reduce isolation and enable seniors to stay engaged and active in their community. We provide escorted door-through-door assistance for medical appointments, shopping, and errands. Our services allow seniors to maintain their independence and empowers them to make decisions and when and where they can go. Y Opus services are provided by 200 volunteers recruited from the community and are available to over 450 Ahwatukee seniors. Volunteers provide escorted transportation north to Thomas Road in the VA hospital, south to Pecos and Queen Creek, east of Val Vista Drive, and west of 7th Ave. Eligible seniors are enrolled after a home visit by our care coordinator. When a client needs assistance, they call the Y Opus office with the details. The scheduler enters the appointment into our database and volunteers can self-select assignments that fit their schedules. Online selection makes volunteering and filling assignments quick and effective. The YOPIS program director oversees the entire program, including the scheduler, case manager, and volunteers. The scheduler is responsible for taking calls, scheduling all transportation needs, and communicating with drivers and clients. The case manager coordinates client needs, including rides and home safety installations. Volunteers are responsible for transportation and communication, including friendly visits with our senior clients. Background checks and motor vehicle record checks are required for all volunteers participating in the YOPIS program. We also provide volunteer training for all of our volunteers. We are seeking funds to expand and improve our volunteer recruitment and training and to support our growing volunteer base. Funding would be used to provide recruitment, training, and retention of volunteers for our seniors' transportation needs, as well as cover the cost of background checks and motor vehicle record checks. Performance will be measured by an increase in the number of volunteer drivers recruited and engaged in our program. We provide services other than transportation, like friendly visiting, household help, and social activities. But transportation is by far our most requested service. There is never a charge for our services, and all services are provided by volunteers. YOPIS works closely with other volunteer caregiving organizations to coordinate services for seniors. We participate in a senior wellness coalition with programs in Chandler, Gilbert, Queen Creek, and Sun Lakes. We communicate regularly with our community partners at Pecos Senior Center and Saga, the senior advocacy group of Ahwatukee. Our collaboration with Rebuilding Together to keep our seniors safe at home has been outstanding. Prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, we hosted a monthly luncheon for 75 to 100 people and invited community members to join us. YOPIS has also established relationships with our local churches to educate them and services we provide, offer training in helping them care for their isolated and lonely, and also encourage their congregation to volunteer. When they are allowed, our monthly socials are held in several different local churches, again, broadening our recognition in the community and making our resources and services known. As an outreach program of the Ahwatukee Foothills Family YMCA, our dedication to building a better community together is real. Valley of the Sun YMCA is requesting $21,500 to fund the YOPIS program director, who is responsible for volunteer driver recruitment, training, and administrative support for our YMCA outreach program for Ahwatukee seniors, YOPIS. We commit to a local match of $21,500 through donations, grant funding, and in-kind support, covering program costs of $43,000. Supporting the well-being of our seniors, regardless of their background or socioeconomic status, is an integral part of our mission. Through our annual support campaign and grant development, funds are raised each year to ensure YOPIS program can continue at the Ahwatukee Foothills Family YMCA. Our executive leadership and financial development team reach out to a diverse array of supporters, such as corporations, foundations, and individual donors, to make sure this goal is met. Sound fiscal management practices are also in place to ensure the sustainability of this program. We appreciate your consideration.
Thank you. Wendy, please.
Good morning, everybody. This is Wendy Miller. I just wanted to inform you that when this original application was published, we only had the regular 5310 and the CRISA funding sources, but additionally, the American Rescue Plan has also been allocated, and $595,000 additional dollars has been allocated to this program, and we intend to award that through this process, and just wanted to let everybody know.
Thank you. Questions from the committee?
Yes, Chair, this is Matt Dudley, City of Glendale. So is the program, Beth, are you the program director?
No, that would actually be myself. I'm the program director.
Okay. So we've heard from the last day about the difficulty of trying to bring back our volunteer drivers. How are you guys going to go about trying to bring these volunteer drivers back And what type of training procedures are you guys looking at maybe changing or editing, and hopefully the post age of COVID, just to try to get them back and make them feel a little more safe?
Yeah, the biggest thing for me with that is we actually overhauled the whole entire volunteer onboarding process. So we have a new training manual, a new handbook, new everything regarding those processes to help streamline the whole measures of it all. In regards to reconnecting with those volunteers that may have distanced themselves during this pandemic, the biggest thing with that is doing individual outreach to those folks and hearing those personal concerns that they may have and combating it. So essentially, if they're concerned about COVID-19 and anything regarding that, we can say we still have mask implementation, we still have social distancing implementation to help keep the drivers safe. For those volunteers who may not be comfortable returning to the driving facility, providing other volunteer opportunities for them would be huge as well too.
Okay. And lastly, what would be the impact to Yabes if the agency was not to receive these funds? Could you guys still do the program, or would this program go away?
That's a really good question, Steve.
I can address that. We would still be able to operate the program. We would just likely have fewer volunteers and be able to serve fewer seniors in that case. We still support this program through our annual campaign and other fundraising, but this funding really helps pay for our program director, Simon, who oversees everything that happens in this program. So we'd really just end up serving fewer seniors. If I could also address your earlier question about COVID, one of the great things about that program that Simon mentioned with Uber is we also had our own volunteers providing rides, and through an agreement with the state sites, any volunteers who provided rides for seniors would also get the vaccine. So a lot of our volunteer base was vaccinated early on, which has helped a lot with our volunteers coming back.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any additional questions from the committee? I guess not. Thank you for your time today. This concludes the interview and the presentation. Appreciate your time coming and talking to us about your program. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your
you.
consideration.
Thank you, Chair and members of the committee. Our next agency is Pearl Transit. As I noted before, they are a new applicant to the Section 5310, and they are requesting operating.
Thank
I'm not sure if they are online as a case. Not yet.
No, not yet. I'm sending a reminder right now.
you.
Hello, Joe. Hello, Joe. If that's you on e-conference room, please unmute yourself.
Hello?
There we go. Now we can hear you.
Oh, great. Thank you so much for your time. This is JL Watts from Pearl Transit.
Are you the only one coming to talk to us?
I'm the only one, yes.
Good. Let me go through some points here. Welcome and thank you for your time here today. My name is Robert Yabes, Chair of the MAG EPDT Ad Hoc Committee. I would like to go over a few things before we begin. To keep track of time, staff will indicate the time remaining at the 5 and 1 minute mark. The interview is being recorded. For your presentation, please provide an introduction that includes names and titles of all those presenting, a very brief overview of your agency, describe your project request and the need. The remainder of the time will be for questions from the committee. Please go ahead.
My name is JL Watts. I'm with Pearl Transit. I'm the operations manager. We are a 501c3 nonprofit. We have, for the more than the past decade, have operated demand response transit services for at-risk groups of all types, including seniors and people with disabilities. We have been for a similar amount of time engaged in multi-state operation. And we are proposing essentially to provide the same services that we have been making available to people to increase their mobility for the past decade. We would like to make it available in the MAG region as well. So what we are proposing is a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week demand response transit service that would begin as its cornerstone with trip planning, and would provide gap-filling transit services where they're needed to help riders that are accessing any location within the MAG region that where their trip cannot be completed using the currently available public transit options. Did I lose you? Hopefully you're still there.
No, we're still here.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
sorry.
Great.
This mute and unmute thing is confusing to me.
Oh no.
Thank you very much. Wendy, please.
Good morning, JL. This is Wendy Miller. I just wanted to let you know that when the application was published, there were two funding sources listed, CRISA and the regular 5310 program. And since then, the American Rescue Plan has been allocated to our region. A portion of those funds are going to fund 5310, and we intend to allocate those funds through this program through this year as well. And that gives the program an additional $595,000. And we just wanted to inform people that we intended to allocate those funds.
Well, thank you for sharing that. We really do believe that our service can help to bridge gaps. Of course, the funding that you have as providing vital services to MAG residents, MAG region residents. But what we're really proposing to do is just fill in where the services that are already being funded or will be funded through 5310 are not able to help riders to complete their trip and to have full mobility.
Thank you. Any additional questions from the committee?
Yeah, I got a question, Chair. Hi, JL. This is Matt Dilley. I'm with the city of Glendale. So help me understand maybe the Pearl Transit model maybe a little more. So the trips that you provide, is it for everyone or is it just seniors and the elderly,
It
the
would only,
5310 population?
Thank you. First of all, thank you, Matt, for your question. Our services would only be for seniors and people with disabilities. And the way that we would ensure that the funds are only serving seniors and people with disabilities, the way that we have, across our lifespan, going back to 2005, is that we require anyone who benefits from our help to complete an application first. And we've become sort of more, technology savvy as time has passed, and we are now even able to accept applications by text, but we have a variety of different ways that we receive application materials, an application form that is, as well as proof of residency, proof of senior status, or proof of disability. And we do require that before any demand response transportation services are provided.
Okay, so most of the time you'll be getting like the applications coming into you via mail, email. It sounds like for a variety of methods, correct?
A variety of methods. Yes, we accept them by text. We accept them on our website. We accept paper applications, and we do accept them by email as well. So our process really begins when a rider completes an application, and that's really how we are going to know that we are filling a gap rather than duplicating all of the wonderful services and supports that are already available in the MAG region, because our application is going to ask the rider, where are you starting from and where are you traveling to and what time? And based on that, we're going to create an individualized plan for that rider that's going to clearly state, what parts of the ride can be accomplished, let's say through, current paratransit options or fixed route options. And we are only going to fill the gap where it's not possible to complete the ride at the time that the rider needs to travel.
Okay. So when it comes to, it sounds like the coordination efforts from Pearl Transit are going to be kind of multifaceted. You have the options to kind of check with kind of like the current providers, but also like the other nonprofits in the region, the other 50-10 providers. How's that going to work in terms of coordination?
Well, before we begin, actually, we're going to create a database, and technology really helps us an awful lot to be efficient with that. But we're going to have essentially an inventory of all the service providers that are available, be it, maybe a local agency that's providing services direct to a person with disability, and they, may be able to complete a trip as part of that enrollment. So whether it's traditional transit provider or a provider of another type of social service where transportation becomes a component of that, we're going to have an inventory letting us know all of the services that might be available, and we're going to then compare each rider's individual trip requests with all of the services that are available, be it fixed route, public transit service, or social service provider.
Okay. We've also heard within the last day and a half how difficult it is to get drivers in the region. It's probably happening all around the country. What's your guys' philosophy in trying to get and acquire and to retain drivers, especially as we're coming out of COVID?
Well, it's actually always been kind of difficult, having had a decade and more of experience in the, part of our recruitment planning process. COVID certainly makes it more difficult, but the same challenges basically are here that were here, years ago. So our plan really is to sort of couple a rideshare kind of model with the traditional demand response model. And what I mean by that is that our drivers have the option when serving someone that does not have a mobility impairment to utilize their own vehicle or to utilize our vehicle. Either way, the trip is covered by our insurance, and there are a variety of safety precautions that we're taking either way, including pre and post trip inspection. So we've actually found that rideshare model, way before rideshare was a term that any of us used, going back to our beginnings back in the early 2000s, we adopted that model because it really helped us with recruiting and retaining drivers. Our drivers are able to really cultivate their own work schedule, which makes it really an attractive option for a lot of people that may not otherwise be represented in, recruitment efforts, like students and like seniors, people that have other, focus in life, and maybe full-time employment as a driver may not be what they're looking for. Our model of allowing the driver to decide what schedule they pick up at any given day really is a tremendous help in terms of recruitment and retention.
Okay. And I know we're kind of running out of time. So my last question is kind of what would be the impact? Would Pearl Transit still come to the MAG region if your agency did not get these funds, or is it kind of contingent upon getting these funds that Pearl Transit would come to the Valley?
Well, our goal actually is to make our services available everywhere. So I wouldn't say that it is necessarily contingent. What the 5310 funds would do would essentially to be a seed for us, because our goal is never to rely on one source of funding. We are going to be active with community fundraising. We have a multi-pronged approach for how we do that. So in terms of our relying on the 5310 funds, it would be one part of sort of a diverse, sort of funding plan that we would implement to keep the services sustainable. So we are looking at other options, if we are not awarded funds this round through 5310, but if we were, it would sort of be a seed and sort of a foundation upon which we would grow and implement our other efforts for community fundraising to keep the service going and to expand.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Are there any other questions from the committee members? Hearing none. Thank you so much for coming. This concludes the interview.
I really appreciate each and every one of the committee members, your time and your consideration of our proposal, and we look forward to receiving your decision. Thank you so much.
Thank you, JL.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Was it City of Phoenix?
Yes, chair, members of the committee, the next agency is the City of Phoenix for operating.
And I already have them in here. I'm going to bring them into the meeting. Hello, Albert and Jennifer.
Good morning.
Hi.
I think Jennifer's going to be on shortly. I'm not sure if she's on right now.
I think I see
Can you
her.
hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Jennifer.
Okay.
Is this it for the city of Phoenix? Are you the only two that are
Correct.
presenting?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
It'll just be Jennifer and I.
Thank you. Welcome and thank you for your time here today. My name is Robert Yabes, Chair of the MAG APDT Ad Hoc Committee. I would like to go over a few things before we begin. To keep track of time, staff will indicate the time remaining at the 5 and 1 minute mark. This interview is being recorded. For your presentation, please provide an introduction, include names and titles of all those presenting, a very brief overview of your agency, describe your project request and the need. The remainder of the time will be used for asking questions from the committee, responding to questions from the committee. Please proceed.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for your time today. My name is Albert Crespo. I'm Deputy Public Transit Director with the City of Phoenix. I oversee the operations, technology, and planning sections for City of Phoenix. And I'm here with Jennifer Lugo, who's our program manager for the alternative transportation programs. Before she kind of outlines our program for you, I'd like to say that, the City of Phoenix is proud to offer our ATP programs to Phoenix residents with disabilities, as well as those individuals that are 65 and older. It's proven to be a very beneficial transportation resource to the community. And we look forward to continuing the program with the funding, the grant funding that we've been allotted over the years. And not just continuing the program, but also enhancing it in ways that we can. And Jennifer is going to speak a little bit about what we've done over the past year, as well as some of the enhancements that we have implemented and are considering. Jennifer?
Hi, everyone. Good morning. I'm Jennifer Lugo, and I am an administrative assistant too in the Public Transit Department Operations Division. Our grant is for alternative transportation programs to sustain and expand our alternative transportation programs. Our programs serve individuals with disabilities and older adults age 65 and older. We have various programs available, including an ADA cab program, senior cab program. These two programs offer program participants the ability to have subsidized transportation, and they're able to schedule transportation with various service providers with no restriction on trip purpose. We also have an employment and medical transportation program, which offers subsidized transportation for these program participants to go to repetitive for repetitive transportation needs to their workplace or to regular medical treatment like dialysis, radiation, that kind of thing. So all of these programs offer our members convenience and flexibility in scheduling their transportation needs. They are able to maintain their independence through the use of these other alternative transportation programs when regular public transportation is either not available or not appropriate for their transportation needs. Participants receive either their paper voucher through our program administrator, or they receive their taxi subsidy through a fare card for the ADA and senior cab programs from a program administrator. And then they call upon various service providers to schedule their service whenever the service providers are available, which is generally 24 hours and 7 days a week. We have about 15 taxi companies throughout the valley that accept our voucher programs, and 8 that accept our fare card programs. We're looking for $500,000 to sustain and expand our programs. Some of the enhancements that we've made to our program, of course, are fare cards for the ADA and senior cab program. And recently, we added a web online and used the web portal to where they were use the web
Talking
where they
up.
would to their fare card. But with this new web portal, they have the ability to do that themselves. And some of the other things that we're interested in doing are expanding that fare card program to our employment and medical programs, which are currently voucher based. So that's something that we're looking at and exploring now. Other things that we're also considering are making our subsidy consistent. Between the two, there's some difference from the voucher programs to the electronic fare cards. And even within the fare card program, we have some different subsidy structures in that. So we're exploring those ideas right now to be able to expand the availability of these programs. And with that, I'd like to open it up to any questions that you all may have.
Thank you. Dee, do you want to talk about the extra funding? Since Wendy's not here.
Good morning, and thank you for attending today. During this application process, we were notified that we were being apportioned additional funding under the American Rescue Plan, which is approximately $595. That amount is being rolled into our process under the CRISA, and that will be a part of this process for this time. We just wanted to make you aware of that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions from the committee?
Hey, Chair, hey, Albert and Jennifer, this is Matt Dudley, City of Glendale. So obviously COVID has put a crimp on things the last year. So you guys have a lot of service providers. So how are the service providers making sure, as this is coming back kind of online and people are getting back onto these programs, how are they ensuring safety in this COVID world?
Sure. Thank you for your question. Thank you for your question. Jennifer can speak to it better than I can, but we did work with MV Transportation to share some of the, not specifically the funding, but the personal protective equipment. So an allotment that was made available to the city, we did share that with MV, which then shared it with some of their service providers. But I'll let Jennifer kind of get into the details on that.
Sure. As Albert mentioned, we did do that at the start of the pandemic when it was difficult finding that PPE and being able to obtain the quantities that were needed. We did share some of the City of Phoenix's allotment of PPE with MV, who then shared it with our transportation providers. So with the City of Phoenix supplementing that, the providers have PPE, face masks, cleaning supplies. They are wearing face masks similar to our public transportation services. All of them require face masks in their vehicles. They are increasing their cleaning and cleaning in between. There were several of the providers who were looking at what they could do as far as barriers, kind of also similar to what the public transportation is doing between the front of their cabs and the back. Some of them actually went ahead and put something in, and others were just, looking at what they could do. But they are using PPE. They are doing extra cleaning, and they have cleaning supplies with the vehicle operators as well to clean between passengers.
Okay. I know drivers are also kind of in short supply. Have they been okay in terms of getting the amount of drivers they need to sustain your guys' programs?
Excuse me.
So I'll chime in. Go ahead. Go ahead, Jennifer.
that has been a concern. But I think that with the ridership was down a little bit, it really didn't affect that much the actual service delivery. So they have been responsive, and I know that they've expressed an interest in MV to to continue more service. A separate program that we have that we use our taxi providers for is a senior center shuttle program, and that is for transportation for seniors to and from our City of Phoenix senior centers. Those senior centers have been closed since March, and several of the providers are very willing and ready to reestablish that particular service. They have the capacity, and they're just looking to get that that work back to supplement their businesses.
Okay. And my last question, what would be the impact to Phoenix without these funds? Could you guys still manage to operate the program without these funds?
So I'll chime in there, Matt. In conversations I've had with our leadership, we probably would either the program would go away or it would be definitely decreased in scope. The public transit department, we operate off of federal transit funds, local funds. We haven't identified specific funding to support the entirety of this program. So yes, it would severely hamper our efforts to provide good quality public alternative transportation programs to the community.
Okay, that's all the questions I got. Thanks, Albert. Thanks, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions from the committee members? Hearing none. Thank you for your time. This concludes the interview. And we appreciate you talking to us this morning. Thank you very much.
We appreciate your time also.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Albert. Thanks, Jennifer.
Have a good day. Bye.
All right, you too. Bye.
Thank you. Okay,
Is it break time or not?
we have one more agency to go,
Okay.
and then we do have break. Wendy Miller back on. Our next agency is Foothills Caring Corps. Their request is for preventive maintenance and operating. Zacchaeus?
They are already on the waiting room.
Well, is Wendy back? I want to make sure she doesn't miss.
I'm here.
Okay, thank you, Wendy. We missed you.
Would you like to proceed, Chair? Would you like to proceed with the next agency?
Yes, please. I'm sorry.
Hello, is it Donna and Robin with Hills Caring Corps? You're mute. You're mute right now.
There we go.
There we go.
Okay, hi, everybody. Think I would have this down by now, right? I'm Donna Guerin. I'm the van transportation manager at Foothill Caring Corps. And I'm here today with our executive director, Robin Cochran. And we're happy to be able to present to you.
Let me talk about the ground rules. Welcome and thank you for coming. My name is Robert Yabes, chair of the MAG EPDP ad hoc committee. I would like to go over a few things before we begin. To keep track of time, staff will indicate the time remaining at the 5 and 1 minute mark. This interview is being recorded. For your presentation, please provide an introduction, include names and titles of all those presenting, a very brief overview of your agency, describe your project request and the need. The remainder of the time will be for questions from the committee. Please go ahead.
Okay. I am Donna Guerin. I am the van transportation manager here at Foothills Caring Corps. And I would like to introduce my co-presenter, who is Robin Cochran. She is our executive director, and she will just give you a brief overview of the agency.
Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you for sharing your time and this valuable resource and interview time. My name is Robin. I'm Executive Director of Foothills Caring Corps. Since 1990, our mission has been to provide critical transportation and in-home services to those persons aging in place and suffering disabling conditions in the Foothills area. This area consists of over 240 square miles located in rural Maricopa County, Scottsdale, Phoenix, Carefree, and Cave Creek. Our mission is to provide medical transportation, transportation for shopping, and essential services. We also provide home delivery of meals every day. And we also have a mobility loan closet. We have van transportation also for socialization purposes and for other needs such as access to vaccinations and what are the critical needs of our neighbors. I appreciate your time, and now I'm going to turn over the rest of this presentation to Donna, my incredible fleet manager and transportation coordinator. She works with over hundreds of volunteers, and our neighbors are in excess of 300. So the transportation needs and the critical needs of our neighbors are growing as people are isolated, and we couldn't do this work without you. And I just am honored to work with Donna, and she will share more about this program. Thank you.
Okay. So as you know, we have applied for 2 5310 grants. The first one is a public transportation alternatives grant. The total dollar amount that we are requesting for that grant is we've identified costs of $84,106. We will be doing the 50% grant matching, so that the grant application is for $42,053. Our volunteer medical transportation program is the longest running program of our organization and really was the impetus behind our founding. And so we provide rides to medical appointments for persons who are older than 65 and older, or other adults with disabling conditions. COVID has significantly impacted this program over the past year. And so certainly, as we all know, 2020 was an anomaly, but we continue to offer rides to cancer treatments, dialysis appointments, and certain other critical therapies, cardiac therapies, and severe eye issues, macular degeneration. What we have found is that right now our volunteer base has significantly eroded because of the pandemic. The vast majority of our volunteers were themselves retired and over 65 and in a vulnerable population. And so having volunteers able to provide the rides has been a challenge. And of course, the people needing the rides have also been afraid to get out. Some of that now has been mitigated through vaccination. And because of that, the needs in our community are really great because people haven't gone to the doctor or the dentist or whatever in more than a year. And so we are now being besieged with requests, and we are doing our utmost to get our volunteers back on board or to recruit new volunteers. And thankfully, there are people who are coming into the area who are willing to do that. But we see that going into the future, it really will behoove us to change, if we can, the demographic of our volunteer base and try to recruit younger volunteers to the extent possible. And that's going to be a real focus for us over the next 12 to 24 months. We hope to come up with some new videography and some new appeals that we can use on social media platforms that we have not used as much because of the age of the community that we serve. But we know that we need to move in those directions. So the grant that we are requesting covers our volunteer medical transportation coordinator's salary, a portion of that salary, 70% of it, as well as various other staff members who support the program. So people who do the recruitment and training of the volunteers, as well as myself in training drivers, as well as keeping our van fleet up and running. We do use a couple of our wheelchair accessible vehicles for this program, although the vast majority of the volunteers use their own vehicles. And that is, as I said, the most of the rides. We also are requesting some money for some of the direct supplies of the program. Certainly there's a need for sanitizing wipes, masks, other cleaning supplies, plus fingerprinting costs for the newly engaged volunteers. So that is the public transportation alternatives application. The other 5310 grant that we have submitted is for our preventative maintenance, a capital grant to help fund the maintenance of 7 of the 8 vehicles of our fleet. We have 1 vehicle that was not purchased with Federal Transportation Administration funds or assisted in the purchase, but the other 7 were, and that is what the grant money that we're requesting will help in their maintenance. We've identified costs of approximately $13,300. So with the matching of 80%, we'll be paying the balance. I'm sorry. So we're asking for a grant amount of $10,644. The vehicles in our transportation program, as Robin noted, do help take the people we serve, our neighbors, to a number of different activities and projects. Those have been severely limited again because of COVID, but we are relaunching our van program, and we have a May calendar with some shopping trips, as well as a trip to a museum, and as well as a crafting trip. And we also know that in June, we'll be going back to some of the exercise classes that the seniors enjoy so much, silver sneakers and chair yoga, as well as some library trips now that the libraries are opening up. Clearly, again, in the future, COVID is impacting how we use the vans because of social distancing and other barriers that we have put into the vehicles. We think, at least in the near future, riding the vans will not be the same social experience that they've enjoyed in the past, unfortunately. And at this point, we're not scheduling trips to restaurants, since we think that might not be the safest thing either, but they are, the people we serve are clamoring for some of those trips. And again, we hope that we will be able to expand into the future. Because we can only put a few people in each van with the 6-foot distancing that is currently suggested by the CDC, we're going to have to be using all of our vehicles to make trips, which will impact our preventive maintenance into the future. So we really do need this money. All of this grant money is critical to us since we've had to cancel our major fundraisers. So we appreciate your support, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you very much. Wendy?
Good morning, Robin. Good morning, Donna. This is Wendy Miller. I just wanted to let you know that through this process, when we published the application, there was 2 funding sources available, the regular 5310 program and the CRISA funding. Since that time, the federal government released the American Rescue Plan, and there has been an additional $595,000 apportioned to our region through the 5310 program and through ARP. And we intend to award those funds through this process, and we just wanted to make you aware.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the committee members?
Hey, Donna and Robin, this is Matt Dudley with the City of Glendale. So one of the common themes we've seen in the last day and a half has been, the volunteer drivers and the difficulty in getting them back. How are you going to go about trying to get some of these volunteer drivers back?
Well, the good news is that a number of them are being vaccinated and feel much more confident about their rides. We are letting them know all of the recommended cleaning procedures and other things. I think that as more of the people we serve get vaccinated, they will feel more comfortable. Most of our volunteers are not as worried about themselves as worried about the people they transport. That's been the conversation that we continue to have. They don't want to be responsible for getting somebody else sick. So as we do help get some of these people to vaccination appointments, for example, and they become fully vaccinated, and therefore the possibility of severe illness from COVID decreases, I think that volunteers will be more willing to come forward and do other things if they know that they're dealing with somebody who won't die because of their interaction with them. We clearly are requiring everybody to stay masked and doing all of those other things, which certainly helps. We've instituted a health protection policy, which requires masking, frequent hand sanitizing, all of those other things. We advise our volunteers not to talk as much, to reduce the amount, especially if they're close to one of the neighbors. And we are finding that volunteers are coming back. I think that one of the main things it does take is that personal interaction. We have to get on the phone and find out exactly what is preventing that person from coming forward. And sometimes just the knowledge that other people are coming forward and doing things is helping. I have 2 refresher training courses coming up in the next week with drivers. And so that's exciting. And I think that it shows a willingness on the part of some of the volunteers that we haven't seen in over a year to come back. And that kind of refresher safety training is required by our program. So that is good news.
Okay. And the last question that I have is, what would be the impact of Foothills Carrying Corps if you were not able to get these funds? Would the program go away? Would it be reduced? How would that work?
Oh, well, it would potentially be reduced. I hope that it wouldn't go away entirely. But, especially, the funds for each of these programs that we requested were are really critical to us. And we did try to, keep things to a bare bones. We reduced our preventive maintenance application actually from what it was in the prior year, since we still have some funds remaining from that year. But it would be a big blow to us if it was reduced. We would, of course, try to work around that, do some more fundraising and other things, but these funds are critical. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions from the committee members? Hearing none, this concludes your presentation of the question and answers. We appreciate you coming to us and talking to us today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Chair and members of the committee. At this time, we do have a brief break before our next agency. We are breaking until 10:45. If we can have members back at 10:44, that would be great. Coming back on the break, the next agency to be interviewed is Treasure House.
All right, see you in about 8 minutes.
Thank you. It seems these breaks are getting shorter and shorter. Kind of like me. I'm just kidding. As I age, it seems like I'm going, my line of vision is kind of going lower. Chair Yabes, we are at 10:45.
Apologies, sorry. That wasn't 9 minutes, was it?
I know, right?
It's like, my coffee is still brewing and it's now time to come back. Okay, here we go. Which one is next?
We have Treasure House next, and their project request is for CRISA funding.
Okay. Go ahead.
As a kid.
Right. And we have Laurie and Kim with Treasure House.
Hi there. I'm Coley. I'm Coley. We brought Coley in. We had to bring the ringer in.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Oh.
Welcome and thank you for your time here today. My name is Robert Yabes, Chair of the MAG EPDT Ad Hoc Committee. I would like to go over a few things before we begin. To keep track of time, staff will indicate the time remaining at the 5 and 1 minute mark. The interview is being recorded. For your presentation, please provide an introduction, include names and titles of all those presenting, a very brief overview of your agency, describe your project request and the need, and the remainder of the time will be used for questions from the committee. Thank you very much. Let's go ahead.
All right. Well, my name is Laurie Tanner. I am the Chief Executive Officer of Treasure House, and with me is Coley Shawn Amaro. She is our Operations Director, and we also have Kim Joyce with us, who is our Grants Manager. We are very excited to present our organization to you. Treasure House is an independent living community for young adults with cognitive and developmental disabilities. We have 29 residential apartments in our community, and as of last Monday, we filled our 29th. So we opened in August of 2018, and took us about 2.5 years to fill the building, which is really pretty incredible. Our residents, from a diagnostic standpoint, are here with us. Those who are on the spectrum, we have young adults with Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, traumatic brain injury that has left them in some ways intellectually or developmentally delayed, and processing disorders. Down syndrome, did I say Down syndrome? But anyway, it's a very vibrant community. We're about 50-50 in terms of gender, which is really nice and keeps us all on our toes. But you know, we're here to make sure that our residents have the most vibrant life possible. The very large majority of our residents are employed. Prior to COVID, we had 22 residents in the building early last March, and we had 17 who were employed. The others were either going to school or didn't want to work. Obviously, through COVID, some of our residents lost jobs, but I think the number is back up to 22 of our 29 residents are working. We did continue to have, once we got out of the stay-at-home order, we were able to continue to recruit new residents into the building. it's really the only thing that we left for the building for over the last year really was for employment and volunteer opportunities, or to take residents to the doctor's offices, et cetera. We have 4 vehicles here. 2 of them are MAG vehicles. And without a doubt, we all 4 of them are probably out right now. We are on the road a lot. So we did ask for assistance for our transportation driver. We have one gentleman that's his sole responsibility. He shifts his hours on a daily basis, Monday through Friday, and will come in on weekends if we need more help, but to make sure that we can get residents to work and that we can pick them back up. And so it's a quite an endeavor. And we wouldn't know what to do without Harold. And so, and I know that we also asked for gas support, which is, I believe, we asked for $9,000, little over $9,000. So those 2 are, I mean, employment is an essential part of our work that we do with our residents, in addition to the other things that young adults should be doing and having a vibrant life.
Thank you. Wendy, sorry.
Good morning. Excuse me. Good morning. This is Wendy Miller. I just wanted to let you know that when we first advertised or published the application, there were 2 funding sources available, CRISA and regular 5310. Since then, the federal government has allocated the American Rescue Plan Act and provided an additional $595,000 to our region through this program. And our intent is to award those funds along with the CRISA and regular 5310 funding through this process, and wanted to let you know.
Oh, that would be very exciting for us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Wendy. Any questions from the other members of the committee, please?
Chair, this is Matt Dudley with the City of Glendale. Hi, Lori. So my question.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How about yourself? My question is.
We're having fun.
My question is more related to now that hopefully we're getting out of COVID here and driver training with Harold. How have things changed up there at Treasure House with your members kind of getting out of the community and with still with the chance of COVID out there? What are you guys doing differently with COVID procedures on the transportation side?
Well, it's been quite a challenge over the last year. First and foremost, last week, all of our residents, those who wanted to, we couldn't mandate it, but I think only 3 chose not to. So 3 out of 29. So 26 of our residents have now received their 2nd vaccine. That was really essential for us. We do clean our vehicles regularly. All residents are required to wear a mask while in the vehicle, even amongst themselves. All of our staff, now when they're here in the house, this is their home and they're not required to wear a mask. I do want you to know that none of our residents ever came down with COVID. So I feel really good about the procedures that we put in place. It does help that I'm a registered nurse. It's not mandatory for my job, but I do think it was helpful. But none of our residents ever came down with it. So, you know, now things are lightening up a little bit. Obviously, we're still not in grocery stores. We're not doing that. We have been able to go out to the movies, which is exciting, but we rent the whole movie theater when we do it. We do go on hikes, but again, that's outdoors. We have gone to parks just to get residents out. In the middle of COVID, early last summer, we did drive all the way to Flagstaff so the residents could just get out. And we drove through Arizona, which was really fun for them. And we did some things like at Christmas, we went out and looked at Christmas lights, but it was all from, you know, inside the vehicle where it was safe. So we used our vehicles, you know, to be able to get the residents out of the building and do fun things like Arizona or
we did cruise the zoo here.
Cruise the zoo. I mean, there were things that we used our vehicles for programming where in the way that it was safe. So we got creative.
Okay. And lastly, my last question is, what would be the impact of Treasure House without getting these type of CRISA funds?
Well, I'm going to share with you, last year we had an operational loss of $500,000, over $500,000. 521, we have to fundraise about $1.4 million a year to break even here at Treasure House. So, the business model, we need to close that gap and make sure that we get closer to breaking even and not continuing to lose money, which is something that quite frankly keeps me up at night. So the funding is essential. The transportation is essential for what we do. Any opportunities, I spend a good portion, at least 50% of my time or more, trying to fundraise for Treasure House. So that we can, pull it all together. I do want to say that our residents, it's the price that we charge to our residents or their parents or whomever is $3,200 a month. The total cost per resident per month is over $5,700, but we want to make it as affordable as possible. So it's not just rent, it's room and board and all the supports, and transportation is a huge part of our programming here at Treasure House.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions from the committee? Hearing no takers, this concludes the presentation and the interview. We appreciate your time for coming and talking to us. Please have a nice day.
Can I ask one question?
Sure.
Do you know when we'll know if we receive the grant and how long it might be till we would receive funding?
Chair, members of the committee, I can answer that question. Later this afternoon, the committee will develop the priority listing. The priority listing will need to go through the MAG committee process, and it will be approved by MAG Regional Council. That will be in June, and you will receive notifications regarding your award.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Thank you.
You too. Thank
Hi,
you.
thank you.
Chair, members of the committee, we are a little, no, we're almost back on time. Our next agency is Civitan. The project request is for CRISA funds. Zacchaeus?
They are already in the waiting room. Do you want to move ahead, Chair Yabes?
Yes, please. It's just CRISA, right?
Yes, CRISA. Yeah.
Hello.
Hi, Dawn.
Hi.
Are you the only one?
John might jump on. Our grant writer John might jump on, but I'm the only one right now. So
hello.
Yeah.
He's here.
Oh, okay, great.
Anybody else?
John.
That's it.
That's it. That's just us.
All right. We're ready then. Let me talk about the ground rules a little bit.
Okay.
Welcome and thank you for your time here today. My name is Robert Yabes, Chair of the MAG EPDT Ad Hoc Committee. I would like to go over a few things before we begin. To keep track of time, staff will indicate the time remaining at the 5 and 1 minute mark. This interview is being recorded. For your presentation, provide an introduction, include names and titles of all those presenting, a very brief overview of your agency, describe your project request and the need. The remainder of the time will be for questions from the committee. Please proceed.
Great. Hi, my name is Dawn Trapp and I'm the CEO for the Civitan Foundation. And joining me today is John Luther, who writes and helps us with grants preparation. I have been with the Civitan Foundation for almost 20 years this year, and we provide services to individuals with disabilities. an array of services. We do everything from day programming, employment services, home-based community services, social, and also our camp. Our longest running program that we have is our Camp Civitan. We are requesting in our proposal this time is some help with funding a full-time mobility manager and to help with the huge transportation needs. We've grown tremendously in the past few years and are getting ready to open up a second location in the Phoenix area at Thomas and 16th Street. I'm very happy and proud to say that we continued to remain open during COVID with all the necessary precautions and safety measures, which was a very trying and difficult period of time. But knowing that our families and our members really, really needed the service, we really worked hard at doing that and have been very, very successful. And our families are now starting to come back in two folds. And so the needs for transportation and the needs for transporting our members is definitely increasing. We continue to grow the employment piece of our programming for our members, which is one of the most rewarding and something that is not only required that the state really wants us to do, but it's something that the families and the members really want us to do. So we anticipate that to be growing as well, especially with the large need of employment needs in the Valley right now. We know that we are training some of our members to go out and work in the workplace, and again, are very proud of that.
Thank you. Wendy?
Good morning, Don and John. This is Wendy Miller. I wanted to just let you know that when we originally posted this application, there was only two funding sources available, the CRISA funding and the regular 5310. Since then, the federal government has allocated the additional funding through the American Rescue Plan. An additional $595,000 has been made available to our region. And we intend to award those funds through this process and wanted to let you know.
Thank you,
Fantastic.
Wendy. Any questions from the committee?
Hey, John, this is Matt Dudley with the City of Glendale. So what would be the impact to Civitan if your agency did not receive these CRISA funds? Would programs be put to the side, stopped, or just kind of delayed?
You know, we will just, it'd probably be a slower rollout with some of the programs that we're offering. You know, we continue to operate and you know, and do the best that we can. These funds really help in just furthering our mission and furthering our reach to the members, to families in outlying areas. We have started working, and I don't even remember if John actually put this in our grant, but we have started working with YMCAs throughout the Valley. And one of the things that we are doing, and it's very, it's a new project and we're very excited. It took forever to get it going, but we are working with the local YMCAs to bring day program and employment services into their facilities. We found a real niche with this because they mostly had individuals coming to their Ys either first thing in the morning. You think about exercise and what they kind of predominantly do. So their members were coming into their sites early morning, like at 6 in the morning, 5 and 6 in the morning, exercising. And then the clubs were, you know, kind of dark during that 8 to 3 o'clock time period. So we have started partnering with them and bringing, like I said, these day programs and employment services into these facilities. So we're going to be able to offer more and open more of these if these funds become available.
Yeah, and just to hop on the back end of that, we notated in our application, based on our transportation team, that there are additional routes that we need to provide at this time. The human service industry specific to special needs populations, that has absolutely been affected during the time of COVID. And there is just an increased demand for special needs individuals who need to be connected to essential services. So that would 100% impact a number of special needs Arizonans and our ability to get them transportation and connect them to those services.
Okay, thanks, Don and John.
Thank you. Are there any other questions from the committee? Hearing none. This concludes your presentation and interview. We appreciate you coming and talking to us about your project.
And we really, thank you. We really appreciate the opportunity to come before you and this opportunity as well. So thank you so much and have a great rest of the day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair, members of the committee. The last agency to be interviewed today is Valley Metro, and they have a operating request. We are a little ahead of time. I'm not sure if they are available.
I have Bob Antilla and Guillermo Gonzalez already online. I don't know if Wyatt Scott is going to be joining as well.
Bob.
Yes, so we have, did Wyatt RSVP to be part of this discussion?
What was that? Sorry.
Oh, Estaquias, was Wyatt a part of the panel?
Do you want me to bring them in and see if it's just the two of them?
Chair Yabes?
Yep. If they're ready to go, that's great.
All right, so let me go ahead.
Hi, Bob, are you there?
I am here, I think. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, excellent.
Is it just you or?
No, we should have both Guillermo and Wyatt joining us. The screen just looks different than I'm used to. I'm looking at the controls here. Okay, I'm good. I joined early. Hopefully those guys read the instructions to join early as well.
I'm here, Bob. This is Guillermo.
Excellent. Oh, I see you on now. Let's see, start a video. We'll see how that works. There I am.
Thank you. How are you doing, Bob?
Hanging in there.
Good. Is this it? Just the two of you?
No, Wyatt should also be joining us, but I can go ahead and do my agency introduction while we're waiting for Wyatt if you want.
Wait. So what's the order of your presentation today?
I'm just going to do the Valley Metro introduction. Then Wyatt was going to go ahead and do the ride choice applications, and Guillermo was going to do the travel training, but we can reverse it if guys want us to go.
Sure. No, we're fine. Is everybody okay if Bob starts now?
Yeah, that's fine with me.
All right. Let me talk about the ground rules a little bit, Bob.
Yep.
Welcome and thank you for your time here today. My name is Robert Yabes, Chair of the MAG EPDP Ad Hoc Committee. I would like to go over a few things before we begin. To keep track of time, staff will indicate the time remaining at the 5 and 1 minute mark. The interview is being recorded. For your presentation, provide an introduction, include names and titles of all those presenting, a very brief overview of your agency, describe your project request and the need. The remainder of the time will be spent for questions from the committee. Please proceed.
All right. Good morning. I'm Bob Antilles, Senior Management Analyst at Valley Metro in the Planning Division, and I serve as the agency's grant coordinator. With me today from our Accessible Transit Services Division is Guillermo Gonzalez, Program Coordinator, and Wyatt Scar, hopefully will be joining us shortly. He's our Paratransit and Ride Choice Program Supervisor. Valley Metro's core purpose is to develop and operate a network of transit services. We exist to connect communities and enhance lives. With the help and support of our member cities, we try to accomplish this by providing a wide range of general and specialized transportation services. We also operate the region's Transit Customer Service Center and ADA certification program. We conduct transit education through schools and community outreach and perform extensive planning for future regional, local bus and light rail transit. We also operate paratransit services as well as our alternative transportation programs that provide seniors and individuals with disabilities with the ability to travel locally and region-wide. The services currently operate throughout the East Valley, the Northwest Valley, the Southwest Valley in the Avondale Goodyear area. They're not part of our application because they're in the small urbanized area. And then we also do regional throughout the county. Many government nonprofit agencies purchase rides from our programs for seniors, low income, and other human services related trips. 5310 funding has allowed us to provide mobility options beyond ADA mandated boundaries, service times, and service days, allowing us to further our vision of connecting communities, enhancing lives. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Guillermo and Wyatt to talk more about the programs and our applications for funding this year. And we'll just go ahead and turn it over to Guillermo until Wyatt comes in.
Thank you, Bob. One way that we enhance lives and connect communities is by travel training. We're teaching people how to use all these amazing services that we have available throughout Maricopa County. This includes rail, bus, local circulators, as well as a new streetcar that's going to be coming up in Tempe. We teach customers how to use these services. One of the things that we like to encourage people to do that join our paratransit community is to learn how to actually use the fixed route and light rail if possible. They go through an assessment process and we make sure that they're a good candidate to learn how to be travel trained. One of the things that we have are success stories. Some of our success stories are very, very good. For example, we have a student that has cerebral palsy, and he wanted to be independent and he didn't want to spend all the money on paratransit. So he learned how to use his fixed route, and he is actually using the fixed route right now to go to his vocational school to learn how to become an active and working member of the community. Another success story that we currently have as well is we have a student that is autistic, and he had some issues initially with transit. And he actually got through it because he wanted to learn how to do it. And he's using it to go to and from work right now from Glendale. And then one of my very exciting success stories that I recently found out was a Phoenix resident that is currently also has cerebral palsy, but to the point where he cannot speak. He can use sign language and communicate through sign language. And he learned how to communicate to the driver and advocate for himself while using the bus system through an iPad. And he's done it, and he currently uses the system as well. These are just a few of the success stories that travel training has given the community. Another amazing thing that travel training does is we have our Train the Trainer program. This Train the Trainer program helps us touch base with all of the nonprofits and all of the communities out here in Maricopa County. We currently coordinate with around 295 different organizations. Now, of course, not all of them do attend our Train the Trainer program, but those that do are enabled to train their own clients, students, patients, etc., how to travel train. And once they do that, they can actually refer them to us. We'll do a quick assessment to make sure that they are travel trained, and we will issue them what's called the Platinum Pass for 1 year. That Platinum Pass is to use our rail and light and bus system at no charge. So they'll be able to be eligible for that for 1 year. And so that helps us out and expands our system even further so we can travel train more people, making sure that we give the independence and the power of choosing when they travel instead of waiting for a 30-minute window, which some people don't like to do. One thing that I do want to say is with COVID, our travel training program did crash a bit, but we continued and fought on. But pre-COVID, we had a waiting list of over 40 people and we were struggling to keep up with our demand. As soon as COVID hit, we lost a lot of our customers, but I am proud to say year to date, starting July 1 from this date, we have 63 completed travel trained customers. That means that they have graduated from travel training and have moved forward. We have done 80 assessments. Now, like I mentioned, not all people are a good candidate for travel training. So that just shows you that we are out in the community. I would like to say when our mobility center did close, we closed for 2 months and then the travel training program never stopped from there. It was slow, but it never stopped from there. We've actually performed since July 1, 257 travel training sessions. And we've received over 104 applications. So I think that travel training is a big part of Maricopa County, Valley Metro, and it is also an important part to all our coordination with all the nonprofits and communities that we have out there. And I think it would be a great asset to continue.
Robert, do you want to do questions on that first or go ahead and do the ride choice and just questions all together at the end?
Some of us can't participate in the ride choice because it services our areas. So maybe we should do this independently first. So if there's any questions, let me ask Wendy first to go ahead. My apologies, Wendy.
Although I don't think this applies to Valley Metro, we just wanted to let you know that the American Rescue Plan funding has been allocated and we got an additional $595,000 and we're going to allocate it through this process, just to let you know.
Thank you. Any questions from the committee?
Hey, Guillermo, this is Matt Dudley with the City of Glendale. Question. So what's Valley Metro going to do as we're getting out of COVID? I know obviously there's still, boarding in the back of the bus. Is the travel training going to adapt any differently in our post-COVID world, or is it just going to get back to the same? Or maybe you guys have already adjusted it. Could you talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. We're always on top of that. One thing that we had to adapt was the rear boarding and only 10 passengers on board with COVID. We adjusted our entire travel training program to that. One thing that Valley Metro should be really proud of is that our travel training program was actually viewed upon by nationally because we were continuing working while theirs were shut down completely. So yes, we have adapted to the rear busing. We have adapted to only 10 passengers on board. And as things change, we change what we're doing. And what COVID actually showed us is that our travel trainers are very well trained and they adapted to it because, as you know, if any of you ride transit, sometimes things don't go always as planned and they had to adjust as needed. And they actually taught these life skills to these new customers for transit.
Okay. And Bob, this one might actually be more towards you. What would be the impact to Valley Metro if Valley Metro wasn't able to get these funds? Could the travel training program continue on, or would it stop or be reduced?
In general, normally the travel training would continue on. It's probably but at a reduced level. The funding that supports travel training is Proposition 400 PTF transportation funds, and it comes off the top. So we would continue to use that, but obviously revenues are down not only in our agency, but for all the member cities and the county. So there would probably be a reduction and in services to match the funding levels that were available.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions from the committee regarding the topic?
All right, if not, we're going to go ahead and have Wyatt talk about the ride choice program. Or
Which
programs.
side of, there's two ride choice applications. Which ones are you discussing first, Wyatt?
Well, and let me say that our ride choice program is one program, but he'll discuss, he'll talk about the independence as well.
Okay.
Thank you, Bob. Yeah, I'll just kind of briefly describe what ride choice and overall is, and then and just kind of break it into the east and west valleys. So basically, ride choice was originally developed in 2010 and was known as coupons for cabs. Over the years, coupons for cabs was redesigned and rebranded as ride choice. With this redesign, ride choice expanded into different communities and started seeing growth. In 2018 to 2019, ride choice started seeing significant growth, with 11 different communities participating in the ride choice program and approximately 130,000 one-way trips being provided annually. Ride choice provides a highly subsidized transportation for people with disabilities that are ADA certified, and in some communities also for seniors 65 years of age or older. As the name suggests, ride choice allows the customer to choose which transportation provider they wish to use for their trips from a growing list of approved providers. Currently, there are 14 different providers that include rideshare companies such as Uber, local taxi companies, and other local transportation companies in providing both ambulatory and wheelchair accessible vehicles. This open market concept also encourages these providers to compete on providing the better service at a reasonable cost. Ride choice is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and provides same-day service. Ride choice operates in all of Maricopa County, including areas that are outside the mandated paratransit ADA service area and where public fixed routes do not operate or have very limited service. In line with Valley Metro's core purpose of connecting communities and enhancing lives, this allows enrolled individuals to travel to areas where public transportation is not available. For a lot, this means getting to medical appointments, getting to work, getting to school, seeing family, or simply getting out into their communities. Ride choice also becomes more cost effective for the rider and Valley Metro and their participating partner communities. For the rider, the base cost is $3 per trip opposed to the $4 per trip on paratransit. The average cost to Valley Metro and its partners for ride choice is about $19 to $22 per trip, and opposed to on paratransit, which it can be $53 to $60 per trip. So we definitely see a cost savings there. In the West Valley, the participating communities are the city of Surprise, Tolleson, and unincorporated areas of Maricopa County, which includes the Sun Cities areas. Almost all these areas within these communities are outside the ADA service area and without or have very limited public transportation services. Ride choice allows many of their residents to travel and stay connected to the communities. For instance, the Surprise Senior Center uses ride choice to get their members transported to and from their center. Another good example will be Dorothy in the Sun City area, who found herself outside the service area. She's a 103-year-old lady who uses ride choice for her biweekly trips to get her nails and her hair done, and also just to visit and connect with her friends. In the East Valley, the participating communities are Gilbert, Mesa, Tempe, Scottsdale, Chandler, Fountain Hills, and unincorporated Maricopa County. Much like the West Valley, several of riders in these communities find themselves outside the ADA service area and or in areas with very limited or no public fixed routes. Ride Choice has allowed riders to continue to stay connected to their communities and get to vital services such as medical appointments to help enhance their lives. A good example we have in the East Valley would be Kathryn Chandler, who is a senior that primarily uses Ride Choice to get her to her physical therapy sessions, along with other medical appointments, her grocery store runs, and getting to church. Now, as Guillermo mentioned, when COVID hit, we did see a drop in ridership, but that wasn't as significant as opposed to paratransit. It was only about a 25 to 30% drop. But we did operate all through COVID during the pandemic and the shutdown. We never stopped. And we found that those riders who were riding felt more comfortable on Ride Choice, since it is more of an individual ride and not a shared ride, which we got a lot of good comments on. So basically, in a nutshell, that is Ride Choice and what we're doing in the areas. And we are still starting to recover after the pandemic, and we're expecting to be back to pre-trip, pre-COVID ridership here probably in the next couple months.
All right, thank you, Wyatt. Are there any questions related to from the committee regarding the East Valley Ride Choice? So you have a comment, but it's more about Ride Choice in general. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to ask it now. So obviously, you guys have multiple service providers, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so with COVID going on, how did their training change, or how were you guys able to look at their training platform to make sure like COVID safety procedures were followed? How did that work?
Well, we did get with all the providers, and of course, they're making sure Uber, for instance, their drivers, they had to verify that they were wearing masks. They actually sent out disinfectant supplies so they can continue to disinfect their vehicles to all the drivers. A lot of the other local taxi companies and other companies who are non-emergency follow the same procedures, a lot of which we paratransit did, where they did nightly cleaning of their vehicles, training the drivers, provided them with the materials to disinfect the vehicles between trips. And also a lot of them also provided masks for riders too, much like we did on our buses and on our paratransit. Then we just followed up with a lot of customers to ensure that these were being conducted. And we actually did not run into, we ran into very little instances. I think we ran into a couple of Uber drivers that just didn't have their masks on when they pulled up, but they eventually put them on type situations.
Okay. And my follow-up question, Bob, this is probably going to be the same thing as for what would be the impact to Valley Metro if the agency did not get these funds for East Valley Ride Choice or West Valley Ride Choice?
Yeah, in this case, the local match, or if there were no 5310 funding available, the entire cost comes from our member cities, either through their lottery funds or their general fund or their own transportation taxes. So again, with a reduction in just general tax collections and revenues for member cities and agencies, there's no doubt there would be a reduction in either the service times or areas or eligible folks that would apply. Because again, the support, we're lucky that our member cities are supportive of this program and pay for those rides with their local match to this program. So there would definitely be a reduction.
Okay. All right. Are there any other questions from the committee? All right. Hearing none. Is there anything you guys would like to add in the last 2 minutes that we have?
It's just obviously this funding has meant a lot to us over the years. It's so much so that the program has actually expanded, and our member cities have joined and wanted to be part of this. Again, we recently added, not part of this application, but we recently added our Southwest Avondale and Goodyear into the ride choice programs. And of course, our travel training program has just been amazing to help assist folks get on to the normal transit, buses and light rail, which again saves our agency and them money overall. It's just tremendous to have the opportunity to participate and grow the program and use the funding effectively to again to enhance to connect communities, enhance lives for everybody. Public, we're open to the general public. We don't have a specific clientele, and we're very proud that we can offer rides to nonprofits as well as anybody else that qualifies.
All right. Well, Bob, Guillermo, and Wyatt, thank you for coming and giving a presentation today.
Thank you.
All right, gentlemen, you have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
All right.
Chair, members of the committee, that concludes the agency interviews.
Right on time, too. Look at that, Dee Dee. Right on time.
I know.
What do you need from us?
Okay. If you could forward for today's interviews, if you can forward your scores up to Zacchaeus, so we can enter that into the consolidated scoring that we'll review after lunch, that would be much appreciated.
All right.
And also a reminder that we are taking a break. We are still in the application review process. Please no outside discussion. And I believe we come back from lunch break at 12:30.
Oh, 30. What happened? Oh, it's 11:30 right now.
Yeah.
It feels getting longer every time we do this. So, or I'm just too old. All right, we'll see you 12:30.
Yes.
And please forward your scores to
me.
Yeah, so to you. Zacchaeus, please. Appreciate it.